Hi Archie, aged 11 from Holy Trinity CofE Primary. You asked two questions, and one of the questions is how is an i9 graphics card made? I'm not sure. I do know how a i9 Intel processor is made, so I'm going to answer that question first. So the i9 is made by a company called Intel. There are different companies that make processors. Another one is called AMD. Intel used to make their processors with very big machinery, and it was all done by computers, and the information was etched, if you can think of taking a big bit of metal and sort of scratching and adding information physically using tools. That's how they used to do it. But the transistors in a processor, which are the bits that turn off and on, and they let electricity flow, and they allow you to do calculations, they allow your spreadsheets to work and your video games to work. All that information is getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and it's so small, it's like at the nano scale, and the only way they can achieve that now is by using light. And the term, I think, is photolithography, and ultimately they use lasers and they etch all the information into the processor, and that's how they create them. It is an extremely complicated task, and they need specialist people and specialist computers and specialist hardware just to achieve that. You also asked a second question, which I think was a fantastic question, and I would really like to speak more about that. You also asked, do you need to be qualified or experienced to join our company? And my company is CGI. So do you need to be qualified and experienced? The answer is yes, but it's also no, and it depends. So I'm going to break it down. I'm going to say slightly differently. So do you need to be a whiz kid computer programmer who's got a degree and has done everything in computers to work for this software company? And the answer is no, you don't. You could go to the military and you could get real life experience, and you could take that experience and you could join CGI. You could work in a project management role, which means that you don't need to be a coder, you don't need to be a computer guy or girl. There is people we need who do finance, they do accounting, they will do marketing and sales. So to work for a big software IT company like CGI, you can come from a variety of backgrounds. And me personally, a little bit biased, so I joined the military. I got experience working on communications in many different places, and then I took that experience and I come to CGI and they've hired me, and I now work as a Azure cloud computing consultant. Excellent questions, Archie. I really appreciate you asking them, and hopefully that answer helps a little bit. Cheers.
I'm a talent specialist here at NCC Group, and I'm just going to talk to you for a few minutes and answer a few questions that have been sent through to us. So the first question is, how many qualifications do you need from college/university? And the honest answer is none. There are no specific qualifications from college or university that you need to work or enter this industry. We have lots of people join us through various different paths. Some come from university, some have done a traditional computer science, or maybe even a more specific ethical hacking degree or something like that. And that is really good. It's amazing. Really, 3 to 4 years of just learning and developing your skills before you enter, a full-time job role. But it's not the only path. We have lots of people come to us, I guess through a hobby. They've started learning about cyber as a hobby, and just developing their skills, training in their own time, lots of extracurricular activity around this sort of stuff, and then they eventually want to turn that into a career. So there's no specific qualifications. It can be really, really useful but you don't have to have it to enter the industry. The next question is, what qualities do you look for in a person? Quite an interesting question there, because lots of different types of qualities are needed for this industry, but they're just so varied. We find that people really good within this industry, especially within tech roles within cyber, they'll be very analytical, have a really good problem-solving mindset. That I guess in a lot of different areas of cyber, there's a problem and a solution, and there's many routes to find that solution. And someone with a good problem-solving mindset, will find different ways to get there. And it might be the quickest route or the most interesting route, but whatever that might be, that kind of mindset is really, really good for this industry. But in terms of other attributes, other qualities, I always find that somebody who is really motivated, someone with great ambition, a lot of passion, just does amazingly well in this industry. And ultimately, I think that a lot of careers within cyber start as hobbies, especially like on the ethical hacking side. When penetration testing, it starts out as an interest, as a hobby, and it becomes a passion, and from there, you turn that into a career. And I always find that's really interesting to find like the different routes that people take, the different stories and backgrounds they have, because it's all different, but ultimately it's all applicable. Anybody can enter this industry with the right mindset and the right attributes. But there's just a few that I've noticed as a recruiter that, when people have those attributes, they go really far in this industry. The last question, do you need a specific degree to work within your industry? Quite similar to the first question, and again, the answer is no. You don't need a specific degree. A lot of people, they go down that route of computer science, ethical hacking, something like that, and they kind of, as they're finding their way, they find out like which area of tech they want to go into. Some people know from very early on that they want to go into cyber, but there's not one degree which is absolutely necessary to get to this industry. There's just lots of different paths to get in. You might obtain industry qualifications once you're in your role, but again, not necessary to start with. And yeah, just I'd say lots of different paths into the industry. So yeah, that's it from me. Thank you very much.
Hi, good morning. My name is Mel Sinclair from CACI. One of the questions you asked was, what do you do and how hard do you work? Personally, I'm a project manager / Scrum Master / delivery manager, which means I work with the software developers to deliver some software that the customers asked for, make sure that it's of good quality and we deliver it in time. The second question, how hard do you work? Would depend on your definition of working hard. The company that we work for and the area that we work in is very dynamic and ever changing, which means that it is interesting and lively, and working with people that are both professional and talented sometimes means that it doesn't feel like you're working hard. However, if you're delivering to your customer's request and you're delivering good quality software, then clearly you are working productively. If you're in a field that you enjoy, we would hope that it doesn't feel like hard work, even though you are expected to be in the office for a certain number of hours, or each week or each month, because that's what you're getting paid to do at the end of the day. I hope that's answered your question. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name's Katie from CGI. Eve has asked, how do you support schools? Corporate social responsibility and giving back to our communities is a core value here at CGI, and it's something that we as members endeavour to do continually throughout the year. But I'd like to give you some specific examples of what we're doing within the Gloucester office that makes more of an impact to you locally. When COVID first hit last year and we found ourselves in a national lockdown, we all started learning and working from home. One of the first things CGI did was release STEM from Home packs that supported teachers in getting students to learn from home. Members from our Gloucester office have also performed mock interviews at local schools for Year 11 students to help prepare them for entering the working world. We've joined after-school IT clubs with schools in the local area to support ongoing learning. An example of this is where we've gone into local schools and helped them set up a greenhouse using Raspberry Pis and sensors. We're also the Gold Industry sponsors for Signan this year, which allows us to get involved with initiatives such as this. And across the UK, we've donated hundreds of laptops to school children to help support their learning. These are just a few examples of what CGI have done to support schools locally. But we're always looking for more ways that we can get involved. So if there is an initiative at your school that you would like us to get involved with, please get in contact with us.
There are many ways of applying for a job or an interview. The easiest and most common is to either go on a company or an organisation's website and press apply, by speaking to someone at a careers fair, or getting in touch with a specialist recruitment company. Whilst a college or university qualification does make it easier to move into certain industries, we actively recruit for people from all walks of life. So whether you've completed a boot camp, a personal project, or you have more life experience, we really recommend popping that in the cover letter and sending that over to the company or the organisation. We recruit for a wide range of roles in IT, technology and cybersecurity. The three most common ones are software development. These guys write a lot of code that the systems then utilise. We recruit for a lot of software test engineers. Software testers test the code that the software engineers have wrote to make sure there's no bugs in the code before it's deployed or released. And we also recruit for a wide range of hands-off roles with nothing to do with technical code. This is guys like project managers who run a range of projects as well as large teams to make sure that everything's delivered on time. There are many skills and abilities that we look for. First of all, we look for technical capabilities, which can be anything from mathematics, IT to science. And secondly, we look for a range of what we call soft skills. This is everything from effective communication to problem solving and planning. We also find teamwork is really, really important when you're building out large teams. Big companies who operate in a large amount of different IT sectors have a range of program managers and delivery leads who specialise each within their own small part of the business. This means that each person's a real expert in the small part of the business they look after. These delivery leads and program managers will put together a resource plan which will control the short-term, mid-term and long-term plan to make sure there's a team in place for each project. On the short term, this could mean taking in a contractor who will only work with a company for a short period of time, say 6, 12 or 18 months, but can start at relatively short notice. And in the mid to long term plan, they'll put together a range of plans from graduate recruitment to senior and lead recruitment, which might involve career fairs, etc., etc.
Martha in Year 8 from Newark Community School asks, will World War III be a cyber war? Hi, I'm John from CGI and I'm going to use my Air Force and tech background to answer this question for you. There are currently 5 warfighting domains which the military understand: air, land, sea, space and cyber. To win a war, you have to be dominant in all the known domains. World War I was fought on land and sea, with a few aeroplanes thrown in for good measure. The air domain was in its infancy and not thought about as a domain which could result in a strategic victory, mainly due to the technology at the time. World War II did make use of the air domain. Air, land and sea were all used to deal strategic blows. We now know that there are 5 warfighting domains. Each one of these domains has a huge influence on the outcome of a war. Whilst we do not yet have Star Wars combat in space, lots of our important stuff uses space, so losing control in space could turn the tide of a war. But we could still operate in the other domains and regain control. Cyber is unique in that cyber attacks could render digital technology in any domain completely useless, so you could argue that a first strike cyber attack against all enemy military installations on day one of a war would win the war for you. However, usually there are many events leading to a world war. Nations strategically deploy military assets like chess pieces in preparation for a conflict, each responding to each other's decisions and positioning. Not all wars begin as world wars. Japan and the US joined World War II after Pearl Harbor was attacked. This was 2 years after the start of the war in Europe. A total cyber war which grinds an enemy to a halt may not be possible. However, all militaries are utterly reliant on digital technology and digital communications. So exploiting the cyber domain to reduce an enemy's capability is absolutely an option. But if you are not dominant in the land domain, an adversary could simply just walk onto your base and take your laptop, and then you've lost the cyber war. Now, the enemy will also have access to the cyber domain and will deploy cyber specialists to counter our cyber efforts. In each domain, you will have nation versus nation cyber attacks and defense. Now, the cyber domain may hold a valuable key to success in a world war, but as we have seen with previous world wars and recent conflicts, it is the ability to hold a decisive edge in all domains which will result in a victory. That said, never say never. We could see a world war fought on the digital battlefield, so pay attention in IT class. Thank you for your question, Martha.